Well, welcome to this very special edition of the Pace Report recording live at this year's 11th annual Jersey City Jazz Festival here in Exchange Plaza here in downtown Jersey City, New Jersey. Headlining this year and closing out the festival is a vocalist who has really not only paid her dues, but she's bringing a very different voice and a very different vision of how jazz vocal and Black American music should be presented. Brianna Thomas hails from Peoria, Illinois, and over the last 15 years, this sister has done some very important things as far as taking American songbook songs as well as American classics, also some contemporary music, and bringing it into the fold to a brand new audience and new ears. Tonight you're going to see that here at the 11th annual Jersey City Jazz Festival. Tonight I had a chance to sit down and break bread with her to talk about how she's teaching this music to the next generation, as well as we sit down and reflect on some of her most important influences, as well as why jazz music is the wave of the future. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Miss Brianna Thomas performing live at the 11th annual Jersey City Jazz Festival here in Exchange Plaza, here in downtown Jersey City, New Jersey, here on the Pace Report.
its gates. No, 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 paradise, paradise will open its gates. Paradise, paradise, or perhaps maybe, or just maybe, paradise will open its gates. Maybe soon. Maybe soon. Or maybe late.
Miss Thomas, it's kind of like 9 years in the making. It's been a while. When I first moved to New York in 2008, Ulysses Owens Jr. had told me that he was producing this young vocalist by the name of Brianna Thomas. And I didn't think nothing of it. Like a new singer coming along. And it was one night I was either at, I want to say it was Dizzy's. And there's this young lady that comes on stage and she starts singing and she's belting out these songs. I'm like, God dog. And I put one in together and I said, oh, this is what he's talking about. And you know, New York has been very good to you because, you know, this is a place I tell all musicians, if you're going to do anything in the world, you have to do it here and you have to kick ass.
It's true. I think New York is a place where it may sound cliche, but it's for dreamers. And when you come here just like other dreamers, and they inspire you and you bring your dreams to the table, and everyone is just shining on one another in that way, and you meet people that bring out parts of you that you didn't even know was there, and you grow and you learn and you share, and it's one of those places that's like a plate with everything on it that you would love.
And I'm going to piggyback on something you said. It's a town where you have to shed because you're going to go without. This is a very expensive city. And you know, you might want steak and lobster, but you might be delegated to the hot dog and big bite at 7-Eleven.
Yeah. I mean, You have to start somewhere. And I remember when I first moved to the city, I moved here to go to school, and I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. I remember buying like cabbage at the store and eggs, and on a good day I could buy, like I didn't really have, like at the dorm we had, like, there were rules about cookware and stuff, so you wouldn't burn stuff down. And so but I didn't have it like that. But there was a community of people around me at my church. I went to Manhattan Grace Tabernacle Church, and I was surrounded by people who were like, if you need a meal, you come here. And there are people in the scene like that, numerous people that have just extended themselves as family. And that's what's so great about this place is you come here, and it's easy to be alone. It's easy to isolate and be alone, but it's also easy to reach out and to be reached out to, and to find yourself amongst people who are just like you, just trying to find their place, trying to create something, and trying to figure out how that will fit into this whole beautiful thing here.
The music community is rich here, and I ran into Steve Carrington, the saxophonist, last weekend, and we were talking about the younger generation. This AI thing is getting to be real serious, and a lot of these young musicians, it is, and it's like a lot of these young musicians are being misguided into not reaching out to the elders. What do you think is getting ready to happen moving forward? What we're seeing now, as far as the training, the shedding part, and also learning the vernacular and the history of this music.
Well, when you ask that question, something a little that may not seem related, but it is to me. Like during the pandemic, I have to find myself having to go back even further, 100 years before the pandemic, during the Great Migration and the Harlem Renaissance. People were moving to the city. They were coming from the South in droves, so they were bringing their culture with them. And I found myself, because I talk about this a lot when I do different things, like with teaching in school, during the pandemic, it was like clear to me, because artists couldn't afford to stay in the city, we were moving out of the city in droves and going back to the places where our families were. My people are from Peoria, Illinois, and I went to be with my mom a bit, and the dispersing of, like, we were so separated at the time. All of that plays into what you're asking me now about young people feeling disconnected, because I think about how kids were on computers having to go to school. They were learning through the computer screen, which is a disconnect. A lot of things that kids do today, young people in general, I mean, we have to do it because it's now part of the business, is like being on the social media platforms and doing everything with a click of a button, and it's less personal. And when I grew up learning music, my father was a drummer. He had a band, he was a vocalist as well, and his band was the community around me. They were sharing music with me. I think in jazz tradition and in black music tradition, it is normal to absorb the sounds you hear around you, and to be like immersed in a bunch of different sounds: funk, jazz, soul, blues, gospel, all of those things that are like root music. And I feel like when you are in an environment where it's natural to be hearing that, to be talking about it, to just have it playing on a Sunday, in your house after church, during church, or getting it there, when it's normal to ask Uncle so-and-so or your dad's friend, tell me about how do you play that saxophone, or just be interested as a 5th grader and pick up, the drum set, and then have teachers usher you in a direction. Like, the conversation of music is not just one that's had on stage. It's those nuances where people, because any age you can learn an instrument. I know the guitarist in my dad's band picked up his instrument, I think, when he was in his 20s, and he was ridiculous. And so it's like, but being surrounded by people who are willing to share with you, being in a safe environment where you can have you know that you can ask questions and that you can be inquisitive and explorative with your questions. Like, that's what creativity, it's like exploration. It's like, it's just like that. It's like questions and exploration and just trying stuff. And so all of those things, I know I just went in a giant circle, but to me, like, the conversation of music is not one that we just have as musicians on stage. I think when people who want to learn a language, because music is a language, it's imperative that you get around people. If you hear something you like, ask about it. Lean into it. And especially if you hear something that you don't know about or you don't like, don't just discount it, because we can't just be walking around doing everything we like all the time. If a child ate ice cream all day long, it'd be a problem.
Right.
So it's about keeping an open brain, an open mind, and an open spirit. My guitarist, his name is Marvin Sewell, he said that, and I'll never forget him saying this, musicians are scientists of sound. It's like you're on a quest and an exploration of things, and you have to be able to ask questions and try new things. And if you're in a position to learn and you want to learn, I think that when you talk about great musicians throughout history, the old story about John Coltrane, it's not so old, but the story of John Coltrane always trying to practice and always wanting to learn. I myself went back to my voice teacher from college over the pandemic. And it made me realize how much I wasn't practicing before the pandemic. But I think, like, I feel like a forever student. And I think when you realize when you learn something truly, the more you learn, the more you understand you don't know, but there's this drive and this passion. That is the passion. And it's not about judgment or self-judgment. It's just, you can't be comparing yourself to others. It's about trying to be the best you can in a moment with your own self-integrity, with your own passions and your own desires, taking what you've been practicing and putting it in a moment on stage with integrity, listening to people around you. And that listening doesn't stop when we get off stage. It's important that we talk to people who have been here longer, who know more than us, because the things that they know need to be passed down so that it can be known, because the way things are, the way people do one thing is the way they do everything, and the more things change is the more they stay the same. So it's important that we get those understandings. I know that God still loves me, even when I don't love myself. And in due time, meet all my needs. But there are times when life
find that Black American music. I was talking to Zakai Curtis earlier about how Afro-Cuban music and Black American music in the 40s and in the 30s here in the United States had to fuse because New York was such a melting pot. And I find that the church really is an extension of the juke joint from the blues. I tell everybody you can't have gospel without the blues. I'm listening to you sing, and I remember I first saw you many years ago. It was more jazzy and bluesy, but now we're crossing over with the jazzy with the R&B thing. How do we get to this injunction?
Oh man, so well, thank you. I feel seen. I will say, growing up, I grew up in the Midwest, and you couldn't do any kind of music anywhere if you wasn't talking about some blues somewhere. So it was just in everything. It was the fabric, it was the foundation, it was the thread throughout. And it shifted and changed. It was in funk, it was in R&B, rhythm and blues. It was in gospel, because those two things, one was in the field during the day,
Shouts.
And the other one was where Black people could go in the juke joint and be themselves,
right?
And communicate with one another at night. So it was just like two sides of the same coin. And so those things, the way, if you see how people call and response in church and call and response in the blues, it's like a mirror. And one is the spirit is lifted this way, and one is a community thing. And that doesn't mean that the spirit is not lifted this way. It's just that when you're talking about juke joint blues, it's a very community driven, we talking to one another. I know your story because I know my own. And that's why the blues is so powerful, but also that's why prayer and the gospel is so powerful, because it's like the mind and the spirit on one accord. So it's very similar in that way as well. But as far as my music, I grew up listening to anything and everything. My dad was a drummer and vocalist. I think I said this already. His name was C.J. Thomas, Charlie Thomas. And my mom is not a musician. Her name is Marilyn Thomas, but she's a musician in terms of she knows what she's hearing and she knows good music. And anytime I'm writing a song, she's the first person I sing it to, even if it's a piece part. And she always knows, like, I don't like that part right there. I don't know what that means, or that doesn't make any sense, or what about, we'll work on it some more, whatever. She just knows what she's hearing, and she's very encouraging. So I would say that learning the blues came it was just in everything. It was like the way you drink water. And so I remember when I first moved to New York, it felt like people were like, they thought I was the quintessential Southern belle. They found my, up in Chicago, people, they sound like they're from the South, and Peoria is a little south of Chicago, but I hadn't realized that they were telling me, "Why, you must be the quintessential Southern belle." And I didn't think I sounded like that. But also in music, I think people saw me as like the blues singer, and they were very, I felt for a long time like if somebody hadn't encountered me in the space of like singing like Ella Fitzgerald, or singing in a traditional jazz setting like that, they encountered me on some like Bessie Smith or Ma Rainey, and it was like either or.
And I wanted not to cut you off, but I always thought Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey were a little soulful.
Definitely.
They were, and
mad soulful.
And I can see how Dinah Washington kind of came in and took both of them and flipped it, and she did.
Man, I feel like the lineage that you just dropped right there, because when you look at Dinah, you can look also Dinah and little Jimmy Scott and Dinah and Nancy Wilson.
Right.
And now there's like, you can start to see the line. And definitely Bessie Smith had runs. There was a soulfulness about her that was Ma Rainey was soulful. She stated it, she said it, and like she was very, her countenance was very powerful, and Bessie's was too, but Bessie took Ma and did her own thing with it, and you can just see like the lineage of things. And I'm so glad that you said Bessie is soulful, because if you look down the line of soulful singers, I can name some that aren't, you know, Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, you know what I'm saying? Like it just,
yeah.
When you think about, like, because Whitney Houston came up in the church.
But you know, here's my, I always get shot down when I say this. I came up in the 80s, so the musicians I came up with: Prince, Sade, Michael Jackson, Anita Baker.
Yes,
Anita. And you know what's crazy? I didn't like Whitney.
I won't shoot you down. I would be interested to have a conversation with you to understand what, because sound.
It's pop. She was too pop. And here's the irony of that. She's really her mother in her generation.
Yeah.
And Sissy with the soulful, the soul was the Sweet Inspirations.
Yes.
They were very gospel oriented, but they were soulful. Soulful, yeah.
Ooh, they were soulful.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was. I remember when I found out she was that high note on Aretha Franklin's "Ain't No Way."
Yeah.
I was like, you know, she was something else. And I'm glad you said that. Whitney was. She took her mother, and she was in her generation, and that's music. It keeps marching on like that, and that's why it's important, like you were saying earlier, for people to talk, because you don't want there to be, it would be as if English language or any language that you speak was, and it is, passed down. But imagine, and I mean, I guess that's a great, it does happen, like words or phrases. You know, my great grandmother used to say, a cow needs its tail more than nap time. Or she would say, don't miss the water to the, you know, don't be that person that you don't miss the water till the well runs dry. And we don't talk like that now. I know what that means because she said it to me, but we have our own way of saying that these days. And so it's like language changes, so does everything, and music is a language. So it becomes, you know, the person, we're the vessel. It comes through us in the way that our spirit and our energy wants to present it. And I grew up with blues, but I grew up with so many things. I grew up listening to Aretha Franklin. My dad loved Aretha Franklin, and Chaka Khan, Patti LaBelle. I grew up, my dad's band played everything. You would hear John Coltrane one minute, and then you would hear, I remember my mom loved this Bonnie Raitt song called I Can't Make You Love Me. And he used to play that, and then they would play some Ella Fitzgerald, some Earth, Wind, Fire. They were playing everything, and it was just, there wasn't like, it wasn't taboo to jump like that.
Yeah.
And so it was a very, I realize now it was a very free space to grow up in, listening to things, because when you get into the industry and the business of music, people definitely, it's like, how do we categorize you? And I have found much relief from that in writing my own music. I'm always thinking about you. It's like a song on the breeze, wind in the trees, tapping on my shoulder and whispering in my ear. It's everywhere, always reminding me about your love and attitude. And then I'm in the mood for you.
grew up in the church, but guess what? Didn't like gospel. I say that because, in church, I would be out sleeping in my dad and mom's car, and I would be listening to the jazz show because I grew up in Indianapolis, and there wasn't a 24-hour jazz station. And my parents were from Detroit, so I would record WJZZ and bring it back to Indianapolis when I would come back home. And I say that because there was a gentleman in Detroit, God rest his soul, Eugene Potts. He owned a record store right around the corner from where my grandfather used to cut hair in Detroit on the east side. But he taught me the rudiments of gospel music. He taught me about Dorothy Love Coates. He taught me about Reverend James Cleveland gospel music workshop. He taught me about Thomas A. Dorsey. We're talking now. You're looking at me like, where are we going with this? Rudiments. And every music has rudiments. Blues has rudiments. Gospel has rudiments.
Yes.
R&B has rudiments.
Yeah.
Hip hop has rudiments. What's happening with this music that's coming out now? Do you find that there's no rudiment going on, or do you think that we have to go back to the basics because a lot of this music isn't selling anymore?
Well, I think the question of how the music is being passed along and how it's selling are two different questions. So I know what you're saying, like what's happening with the music, that it is not reaching people anymore. I'm not sure of what is happening, but I can tell you this. I think that during the pandemic, many of my friends, we've had many conversations about this, got back to listening to things that they loved listening to when they were children, me included. There was this Ella Fitzgerald CD with Ella and Ellis Larkins that was the reason, it was one of the main first reasons why I was like, I want to be a jazz singer. And that and Sarah Vaughan with No Count Sarah.
That's a great record.
Oh my God, Smoke Is in Your Eyes. I was like,
Quincy Jones produced and arranged that record. Everybody can please sit down
because smoke is in. I was like living. So I went home at my mom's, and there was so much space and time, and at first I was frozen and paralyzed like many people, or just terrified and traumatized. That was such a traumatic time that actually the trauma happened and we're still in the ripples of it right now. And that's important because I think that in adversity and in times of trouble, artists tend to be the people who reflect the feeling of the society where they are, and I think that the music that's coming out now is probably going to be in that space. It's probably going to hold space because the artists that were during the pandemic that were lost all their gigs and doing nothing, you were just left. Either you were going to practice, either you were going to petrify, or you were going to go through whatever changes you had to go through. And there's no judgment in that space. Whatever changes you had to go through to get to where you needed to be, because that was, if you survived that time mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, there's so much information in that. And artists, it's our job, it's our calling to not only reflect how we feel, but how what's happening with the energy around us, with the people around us, in our society, in our day, and in our times. And I think the music that is going to come out now is going to be reflective like that.
I'm starting to see it now.
I really believe it's going to be reflective. I think people had time to think about their priorities. People had time to think about what inspired them. People had time to revisit things that made them, it was many of my friends were like, oh yeah, this is why I started playing this music. They were listening to those records, Clark Terry records, just my bassist was talking to me about Clark Terry that he was listening to. And like, I just I just think that instead of being worried as a people, I hope we can get there, instead of being worried about what is selling, and instead of being worried about who is going to be reached with it, we need to trust and believe in the process, and trust and believe in the artists, trust and believe and support the arts and the artists, because it is a very big undertaking to not only tell your truth, but to have that truth resonate, and to take the time to chisel something out that does resonate with people. It's a very big undertaking. It's hours of thinking and praying, if you pray, or meditate, whatever it is that you do. It's regurgitating and just understand. It's hours of like, okay, I can cross that bridge and move on now. It's those things that we're doing, and I think that's the kind of music that, even if right now people are not like able to receive it, because sometimes healing has to happen first, and again, we just went through a great big trauma together, but I think that that's what the real blessing of this season is going to be with music, and I think we will look back on it and be able to breathe and be grateful for it. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what my artist friends have to say, because there was so much that we were silenced with. There was so much that we silenced ourselves with. There was so much heaviness that we were just in general unable to say what we felt truly. And I think music is just that thing that cuts through everything, and it cuts through race, it cuts through gender, it cuts through election and all of these things. Like it cuts through it all, and it brings a common understanding in the human spirit, because the human sound, the sound of the human voice, does something different. It's different when you receive a text message or a phone call. It's and when a song is sung, and it is sung in a undeniable and complete truth, whether or not that person agrees or even understands, there's something in the body and in the spirit that resonates. And I think that that's the kind of music that we're about to encounter, because this was such a crazy time.
I went home a couple weeks ago, and a friend of mine, was asking me, recommend him some song or some artists. And, I introduced him to Robert Glasper, I introduced him to Terrence Martin, and I'm very music forward as far as the stuff that I like to listen to. I think Andra Day, I think Leanne LaHavis, oh my God, she's an incredible writer.
She is writing from here.
Yeah.
That's what I think, the space that we were given, because even though it was enforced and it was like imposed on us, I think many people got still enough.
She's this generation's version of Phoebe Snow.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
Her, and I tell you who else moves me really, really good. I think Samara Joy has, and she's got a beautiful spirit.
Yes.
And her family just, and then the mentors. John
Yes.
Faddis, the elders, they gave her the information that she needed, and she chose to devour it, and she became what she became.
Yeah.
Do you think that the music's in good hands right now?
I do. I love that you said she has a beautiful spirit, because that was before. I remember I met her at Jazz and Lincoln Center. She was a student, and I didn't know that she sang, and I was just, dang, that girl is so beautiful, and she's so nice. And then she opened her mouth, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so, but I think sound follows feeling. This is something my teacher, Richard Harper, always says. And with her, her spirit certainly carries in her sound and her intentions, and she does have a real pure, honest way about her. And I love, and her energy feels that way. You know what I'm saying? The music is in amazing hands with her. I think that there are many amazing artists that are known and unknown that are right now like eking out their place and finding the courage to stand in their own truth, which is going to become, like one of the most resonant artists that I can think of that was this way, where she was in many categories and it was hard to place her, but she just resonated, is Nina Simone. Nina Simone could do anything, and she had her own sound, and she was not afraid to just be where she was and do what she, but that's a real, it's a gift to have to like not be afraid in that space.
And I think another one is Roberta Flack.
Yes.
And I say this because she was that was the first concert I ever went to. Her and Peebo Bryson. Pine Knob, Detroit, 83. But one of my dad's best friends was a huge Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway fan. And when I played that second record that she did with Reverend Lee, I was like, wow, this is 1971 and no female was singing anything like this. And I'm talking, we're in the era of singer-songwriters. We're talking like Carole King, and we're talking all of these prolific writers, Joni Mitchell. But Roberta came out at a time when black women weren't singing folk music.
No.
Black women weren't singing gospel. Black women weren't singing the types of songs and the genres that she fused, like Nina. Yes. I think both of them were kind of like contemporaries of each other.
And the way that you said fuse. Like, there is a household you grow up in where that is not all foreign. You grow up, Nina was 4 years old playing a piano in the church. And I enjoy her and Roberta for that matter, because the way, especially I would say Nina, the way that she treats a lyric, I find that she's lyric forward. She finds the lyric of a song and the story of it, and she just lives in it. And how she treats it is what she does. It's her sound, it's her thing. But like, she really made me fall in love with lyrics. The way she will turn a phrase or omit a word, like on when she sings If I Should Lose You, and she's playing piano for herself. I'm no joke, I listened to this song every day for hours for like a year, and I felt like there was something that I heard different every time. And it was like, I realized one day the lyrics to the song, at the last verse, she flips and but in the stanza, and it makes a difference in the understanding. And then the way she said it, she was very intentional. And Roberta Flack, her pacing, and so intentional with it. They are storytellers. And that is the thing about being a vocalist. You are not just a beautiful sound on stage. You are communicating with words. You're telling somebody something. You're telling yourself something, and you're telling other people something. And how truthful you are with that, that is where you resonate. And it takes a lot of courage. You know, when I think of somebody, like I was saying, that resonate, they were like, whatever, this is where I'm at, it was Nina. And Roberta, for that matter, too. I'm glad you said that.
Because Roberta, too, and it makes sense now, you know, when she was attending Howard, I know she had to watch Shirley Horn.
Oh, man.
And the thing that I loved about Roberta, and I know she got it from Shirley Horn, was that less is more.
Yes. Yes, because space is a phrase, and it's a major part of the phrase. If we made sentences without periods, commas, or punctuation at all, there's no inflection or determination of like there's a run-on situation, and it has no, that really causes the point to be driven and clear. And space is everything. If I said, hey there, how you doing? What's going on? Or if I said, hey there, how you doing? You know, those are different energies. And it's a conversation. Music is always a conversation. Even if you're the soloist and you're singing or you're playing, someone is listening to you. So it's a conversation. You can't just be run on with it. Space is everything. And I love Shirley for space. I love Nina for space. And I love Roberta for space. Yeah, they were the space queens.
Brianna Thomas, this is the last question, and I ask all musicians this. Brianna Thomas, what does Black American music mean to you?
Black American music is so many things. And I think oftentimes that people think of the color black and they think of one thing. But black is all colors in one space. If you took all the colors and you drew them on a dot, it would come out black. So in and of itself, it's a rainbow of things. And black country artists, some of the first country artists were black. We have Beyonce doing a country album, right? And people are acting brand new about it. But
don't forget Rihanna Giddens.
Exactly.
You know, right.
But back in the day, some of the first like blues and country walked. They were in the same yard on different sides of the fence in a way, but they were eye to eye. You know, and they could talk through the fence. They understood. They have the similar relatives were in the same family. So it's not like foreign. You know, country music is not white music. It
Americana.
Yes, and it is in the black American music fold. Folk music. Louis Armstrong said all music is folk music. Because folks are listening to music and feeling it, you know, like, and even more deeply what he meant with that. And so I feel that black American music is a tapestry that we have these artists that represent different threads of the tapestry. And I feel very honored to be in the tapestry. I'm trying to figure out, I want to know where my thread fits.
Well,
you know,
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because we'll end on this. Willie Nelson's most important record and biggest selling record was an album of American songbook standards.
Oh, yeah.
Called Stardust.
Yeah.
And what you said nailed everything that he interpreted on that record. And that's why it resonated with black country R&B. Because, again, we're going back to the space thing. Willie is a master at space. But those songs, those are the songs he grew up listening to in the 30s and 40s. When he was dirt poor trying to figure out himself. And those songs... Every folk listened to Stardust.
Yes. It was exactly. It wasn't a color.
Right.
It was every folk. Folk music. Jazz is, you know, good music is folk music. Jazz music is for everyone. I think music is the language in which we all speak. I think we have different, it's kind of like fruit. There are different types of fruits, but we all understand fruit to be sweet. You know, like, and I just, black American music is so many things, which is why you have artists who are able to go from this category to that category to that category to that category, because we put music in categories to sell it and to understand it and study it and all kinds of things. But like black American music, you know, when you look at America is many things, and it was built with black people. So the music is no different. I think the music, the sounds that we made them for survival. We made them to communicate. We made them to inspire. We made them to send messages. We made them because we needed to let out whatever was inside of us. And we made them because we needed to praise, you know, like, and I don't know that that's in a category. And I think black American music just is so many different things. I think jazz is a powerful part of black American music that is in a certain lane. I think blues is in a lane. But when I think about the umbrella of black American music, it's many things, and I feel very fortunate and very blessed and very inspired to be a part of it.
That'll do it again for this very special edition of the Patient Boy, recording live at the 11th annual Jersey City Jazz Festival here at Exchange Place here in downtown Jersey City, New Jersey. I'd like to personally thank the incomparable Brianna Thomas for her time. For more information on her upcoming tour dates and the upcoming album, please visit her on social media by way of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management at Riverview Jazz for putting on a fantastic festival. For more information about next year's festival, please visit them online at riverviewjazz.org. As always, people, I can't stress this more than enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos here on YouTube and Vimeo and leave comments, as well as follow me on social media by way of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.